Hi, I'm Cheryl Hamada. Welcome to this episode of Extreme Homes, the program that gives you a close-up look at the most amazing houses in America. Each one is a true original. Sometimes the owners are too, and you'll get a chance to meet the imaginative individuals who create these fascinating houses. Today we'll be in Oregon visiting a home that's a bizarre but beautiful blend of Americana and Casablanca. Then we'll be heading to the Midwest to see a house that seems to disappear into its wooden setting. Welcome to Extreme Homes. Our quest for the unusual begins today in an historic enclave on the edge of Portland, Oregon. Actually, most of the homes in this neighborhood are simple bungalows and modest frame houses that date from the first half of this century. There's nothing too mysterious about them, but on a huge corner lot, quite well hidden, there is a building that holds some secrets. Surprisingly, it's the kind of edifice that's usually visible for blocks around. But by the time clothing designer Julie Olson bought it, the structure hadn't been used for its original purpose for quite a while.
When it was built in 1892, it was a congregational church. The community got together and sold strawberries to get enough money to build this church.
Some years later, the original congregation sold the church to a Baptist group. Then in 1965, a consortium of artists bought it, converted it into an art center, and thoroughly transformed the landscaping.
One of the artists had in his family a greenhouse, and they just planted and planted and planted trees. So they are responsible for the beautiful artistic fence surrounding the church, as well as all the incredible trees that have grown up.
The artists did make some big changes inside. We'll see those later. And Julie recently put on a new metal roof. But outside, the church remains looking very much as it did a century ago.
The exterior is a Queen Anne vernacular style, a facade. It's got the scalloped wood siding. It's old growth. I mean, the wood is incredibly strong. The windows are the typical arched windows. Some are original.
Though it still looks unmistakably like a church, there are hints here and there that you'll find more than pews inside when you cross the threshold. For one, Julie's furnished a new deck as an outdoor living area, complete with a whirlpool and exotic accessories. A basement door looks like it's come from an ancient fortress. And on the front porch, rocking lanterns light the way.
I'd like people to feel when they approach the building that it's in keeping with the tradition, but at the same time, very livable and warm.
Truth be told, though, few people walk into Julie's house without gasping, and that's exactly how she wants it.
I want it to be a surprise when they walk in the door.
And that's any door of the multitude that Julie's incorporated into her house. One is specially designed to accommodate camels. We'll go inside next. Welcome back to Extreme Homes. Fashion designer Julie Olson lived in Morocco for many years, and even now spends half her time in Marrakesh, where her business is based. So when she took possession of an old church in Portland, she turned it into something more like a souk than a place for a Sunday morning sermon.
When new people first see the place, It varies from total shock, because the outside doesn't resemble the inside at all. And it's just like opening the door and walking into an ancient Kasbah in Morocco. It leaves an impression on almost everybody. The interior has been my main concern over the last 8 years that I've owned it. I've brought in 2 big containers of Moroccan doors, windows, rugs, and I've built them in because the ceilings allow for such an incredible, it's like an empty canvas that I can do anything with. I have a fascination with doors. In fact, I've got quite a collection of doors, climbing up towards about 100 that I've started collecting, because there's such pieces of history and art. They're all hand-carved or hand-painted, and they just speak of such great history in Morocco. I think in the living room I've tried to create an atmosphere of like an old hunting lodge out of another world. It lends itself to the feeling of a bit of Africa, a bit of Europe, because I know that when I come back from Morocco, I didn't want the culture shock of coming back to an American home, because I've spent 17 years in Morocco and I've lived there longer than most places I've been.
A set of ancient 4-way doors separates the living room from the master bedroom suite.
These are the old palace doors from the Medina in Morocco. This is the people door. And then, of course, if you happen to have your camel, you can just open and trot right through the...
Julie's bedroom is located in what had been the church's choir loft.
I've put a staircase going down to make it like the bedroom suite, which is quite a large bedroom suite, but nonetheless, that's what it's used for. It's my den, my bedroom, and I've also built a walk-in closet. The furniture in that is from probably the early 1940s. It was built in Portland for the first department store in California. And it just happened to work out perfectly, since there was no closet spaces in a church. They hadn't done that.
There also wasn't a kitchen in the church originally, but the artists who owned it before Julie installed one.
The kitchen I haven't had to touch. The artist did a beautiful job in doing the cupboards, and it's just the right size for me. The dominant theme is really the eating area, and it's completely open to the kitchen. So when you have a party, there's no division.
As far as the upstairs bathroom, the artist began that project and Julie finished it. You've heard of bats in the belfry? Well, how about baths in the belfry?
The bell tower, they had created a bathroom there. So I decided to build that mezzanine and put a staircase up to a 17th century bathtub that I have.
Another transformation that Julie made was to the basement. Formerly a typically cold, utilitarian church cellar.
The basement also has a separate little apartment, so I can have guests and they have separate entrance. So it's a very private kind of place. It's nice when my mother comes because she feels like she's got a home away from home. When I first bought the church, reactions varied from A to C. Everybody wanted to know what kind of spirits were still there. I said, none. It's got incredible good vibes from all the Alleluia choruses that have been sung for 100 years. And it's true. I think there is a really happy spirit here. The upside of living here are all the oohs and ahs of everybody that walks through the door, including all the delivery men or anybody that comes through. They all want the tour. The downside, I don't know a downside. It's really great living here.
When pressed, though, Julie does admit that living here has not been cheap.
The cost of redoing an old church is prohibitive, and it's got to be a labor of love. As far as being economical, the heat bills are ridiculous. The heat loss through the windows are ridiculous. But you just put up with that because it's such a wonderful space to live in. People wonder if I would ever sell because it looks like a place that would be impossible to move from, and I think that's exactly right. I'm putting my heart and soul into it, and I can't imagine ever really walking away from it. It would be very difficult.
And undoubtedly, with each trip to Morocco, Julie will bring back something else to make her Casbah even more enticing. Not every abode, though, benefits from the multi-layered approach to design that Julie's employed. Our next house, for example, is definitely a less is more kind of place.